back. And excuse me, before the break, we were talking about some foes in the SEC that got exposed. They got exposed. And what better way to expose them than right here, right? Let's start with our friendly friends down in Gainesville, folks. Our friendly friends down in Gainesville had a Heisman hopeful quarterback, Anthony Richardson, who has through 3 games had a respectable 2 tackles. 2 tackles. Uh, and honestly, while you might think that that's great and all, what the fun part about this, if you're a Georgia fan, is well, he hasn't thrown any passing touchdowns at all. 0. 4 picks, however, 4 picks, and yeah, four picks. No interceptions. No interceptions, folks. That's Gator garbage if I've ever seen it, as 633 says here. So I'm looking at it that way. Just a shitty quarterback. There's no other way to get around it. No other way to get around it. Your quarterback is ass. Gators. Simple as that. Just that simple, folks. Let's be honest here. Auburn. Auburn. Can't forget about Auburn. God, you got embarrassed on national TV by Penn State, and you made me look stupid, thinking that there was a possible chance that you could come in and pull off an upset. I think the I want to say it was like -3, right? You were a 3-point dog on the road or something like that. Yeah, they blew you out by 30. So I am not trying to get rid of the brigade. Calm down. Calm down. I think Mellon is trying to do that, if anything, but neither here nor there. Just going to leave that there. Anyways, Michael B., we're going to stop that nonsense. We're going to keep going here, okay? We're going to keep going here. Arkansas, Missouri State about came into your house and created what was another App State A&M. So good for you. Good for you, Arkansas. You know, I want to go there. I want to go here for a second though. The SEC West, there's no hierarchy right now. It's just not. And I don't know how to feel about that because it's not like your normal years. It's just not. You know, you have Alabama right now at the top probably, but outside of that, right, you could say Arkansas, A&M, Ole Miss, right? Ole Miss doing the Lord's work and shutting out the nerds. Thank you for that. How do we make sense of it? Right, LSU. You lose to Florida State, what looked like terrible gameplay, right? But in 2 games, you actually look formidable. So you're making my pick for number 2 from the preseason start to look a little bit better, right? You're handling business, right? You handle Mississippi State. You're supposed to handle Mississippi State. We'll see what happens. I think honestly they got a chance to beat Florida. Let's be honest. Florida's a bad football team. Bad football team. And Michael B., we're not going anywhere. Of course, I wouldn't expect you to. Wouldn't have it any other way. Simple as that. I need the brigade. The brigade is life. Just gonna leave that there. But I think what we need to focus here is the East. I want to take a serious approach here. The SEC East is, in my opinion, better than the West right now. And who would have thunk that? I kind of did, but kind of didn't. I thought this may be the year that we see that little power shift for whatever. So far, it seems to be fine. Right? Kentucky handling business. What I think Kentucky's AP poll has an 8th now, right behind USC, the real USC. I know Tennessee, I think is 10th. I think it is 10th or 11th or whatever. That's three teams right there in the SEC East alone that are top 10, which makes Georgia's schedule so far that much better, right? Like I said, we talked about it earlier. Oregon absolutely decimated the number 12 team, right? BYU at home, decimated them. So Georgia has actually played people, but I saw a perfect tweet though, and it makes sense. And I hope you follow along to this. When I was watching that game, the BYU Oregon game, I think it was RJ Young, right? And have hit or miss feels about him, hit or miss takes, but whatever. But he brought something up. It was perfect to what I was thinking about, or what he was saying made perfect sense. And so what Oregon is doing to BYU is what Georgia did to Oregon. How scared does that make Georgia, basically? Right, to paraphrase. That's scary, folks. That's why Georgia is the number one team. There should be no question about it. The talk is always Georgia hasn't played anyone after we dominate who we play. Yeah. Welcome to being elite. You looked at, right, when we weren't on this level. How many fans can say that we did the same thing with Clemson, and honestly probably still do? You do the same thing with Bama, even though you probably shouldn't do that with Bama. They're in your conference, and they did play for the most part. Georgia's on that tier now where you're going to get that every time. Going to get that every time. And people have a very, very short attention span because that Oregon win in week one is kind of an afterthought right now, right? But like I said, for those that do pay attention, Oregon just flat out demolished BYU. So what does that say for Georgia that went and did that to an Oregon team? Listen, the transitive property is real. It's completely real. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I hate to use the transitive property for this, but it's what happens. Michael B says Oregon may win the Pac-12. I think they got their hands full. The Pac-12 actually looks better than what a lot of people thought because Washington hosted Michigan State, and Michigan State got their ass just demolished, and they were, I think, 11th in the country. Just got flat out destroyed. USC's taking care of business defensively. They got a lot of room to grow, but that offense is what we kind of expected it would look like. It's starting to click like a typical Lincoln team. I think they got better players on defense. We'll see, right? Ultimately, I'm just saying right now, if you're a USC Trojan fan and you were chanting, "We want Georgia," no, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. Sorry, you just don't. We'll take you on, but we'll take you if we could. Obviously, I'd love to see it. You might get your wish if you make it to the playoffs. Just gonna leave that there. Then we'll see where the talking starts. It's a moment of silence for anyone that thinks they want Georgia right now. It's that simple. But no, to Michael B's point, Oregon may win. Listen, they got a good shot, right? They do. I think you've got to look at what they've got. Washington State this week, which I think is a very winnable game for them. And then obviously at the end of the day, they'll play Utah again. They'll play Washington, which I think that Civil War game will be very, very, very interesting. Very interesting, especially if things hold out. USC doesn't want Georgia. That's why Riley left OU. I just think Riley don't want the SEC smoke. But if you go to the playoffs, there ain't no hiding it, fam. Ain't no hiding that. Because USC fans might say, well, our head coach, did this to y'all in the Rose Bowl when he was at Oklahoma. Still lost. Just saying. And it's a whole different team. I think Georgia's on a completely different level than anything he's seen, period, since that Rose Bowl game. There's two different levels. It's crazy. I'm just going to leave that there, by the way. Listen, I was thinking over this weekend as well. The thought that Georgia would more than likely go in undefeated, lose to Bama in the SEC championship game. And slowly but surely, each week, my brain is starting to click to the point where I'm starting to question and second guess that take, because I think Georgia can tame Bama again. I do, but I don't know how confident I am, which is why I'm waiting week after week, because I feel like I need to see more volume, more bigger sample size. I want to see what Georgia looks like in the 4 games coming out of the bye, right? Florida, Tennessee, Kentucky, those folks, right? I want to see that. Mississippi State in there. I want to see that before I can 100% flip my answer. Because you got Kent State, Missouri, Vanderbilt, bye week after that. All right. Not too much. If you dominate, you dominate, but that's what we're gonna do that. We have to do that. I think the biggest takeaway though is what Bama's got, because Bama's got A&M in a couple weeks. They've the SEC West. They play Arkansas too. They play Vanderbilt this week, which I'm gonna give Vanderbilt some credit here though. I'm gonna give Vanderbilt some credit. They haven't played SEC play just yet, but they're handling business, and I'm not mad about it, because their only loss is to a Wake Forest team. Not mad at all about that. It's crazy to think that. And I'm going to make this prediction as of today. Vanderbilt will beat Mizzou, and they will be 6th in the East. It's that simple. I think all you got to do if you're Vanderbilt, stop Luther Burden, and you win that game. That's simple. That's all you got to do. That's all you got to do, because Luther Burden's looking good, but he is a highlight on a terrible team. Simple as that. I think the fun part is you actually get to see Auburn and Missouri play here soon. Yikes. Nobody wants to watch that bad football. Nope. I ain't going to watch it. I'll check the box score on that. You ain't catching me turning my TV on that at all. I ain't touching that one. Not at all. Here, Brigade, bring in your questions. We'll flip it back to the Georgia game, right? My takeaway for this game is obviously Georgia dominated, right? Georgia dominated. But what I'm really excited to see is the freshmen playing and making key snaps, which leads us into our next bit, and that's our report card, right? The UGA report card. Quarterback play. Give me A+. A+. Because not only did Stetson do what he did, Beck comes in there and does what he does. Showing off the legs, deep pass for a touchdown. You can't ask for more out of your quarterback play, because your backup comes in and does the same thing like you never left, and it's just a continuance, right? So give me quarterback A+. Now, if you're in the brigade, make sure to drop your grades as we go. Running backs. It's interesting here, right? Because we saw all 4 running backs, and even Branson Robinson ran the ball well. He ran the ball well. Listen, we rushed for collectively over 200 yards. Now, some of that may be from, Brock or whatever, but overall, from a rushing game perspective, we ran the ball well, extremely well. So give me an A. I'm gonna give an A on this one. I don't know about an A+, but you could say so. You had a touchdown or 2, or no, you had 2 rushing touchdowns at least. So you know what? I'll switch out. Give me an A+ on the rushing game as well for the running backs. Obviously, Carson, not Carson, but Stetson attributed to one of those rushing touchdowns. To me, Kendall Milton looked just fine. Easily got into this. Obviously Stetson could have had another rushing touchdown, but obviously got called back at the 2. Kendall Belton easily just pushes it through. Dejan looked effective, making guys miss. Branson Robinson, right? Branson Robinson showing off, the composure muscles, right? Yeah, just overall an excellent performance there. Michael B says Beck looks very comfortable QB. Yeah, and the key here before we get back to the receivers is this: the fact that Todd Monken and Kirby Smart are letting him operate the offense as if he's the starter when you're playing in your backup positions speaks so much volumes for the progression and the future of the quarterback position at Georgia. It just does. In years past, we've seen backups come in and just hand the ball off and hand the ball off and hand the ball off. But this change to allow him to run operate the offense is going to pay dividends well beyond what we expect as Georgia fans. Because not only are you sitting there, you're letting him do what he needs to do stats wise. You're making him happy. Quarterbacks don't want to go in to hand the ball off. They want to be able to operate the offense. So you're making him happy. But what you're also doing is you're prepping him for the future. Because let's be honest, more than likely, if he sticks around, obviously, he's going to be your quarterback next year. And if he looks this comfortable as the backup, it should be a somewhat smooth transition for him next year. But you're also helping with the situation, letting him throw the ball. Right? That touchdown to Oscar Delp was beautiful, which we're going to come to that in a little bit. But as we were talking about the receivers, right? I think you have to, the receiving core, I feel like it's probably a B plus. Excellent blocking, as you expect. Excellent blocking. The one thing that I wish, and I guess this is being nitpicky after this kind of performance, connect on the deep balls. Obviously, there was some. Listen, Dylan Bell, pass interference. Ladd McConkey, pass interference. Not saying anything bad about that, but just imagine, take Ladd McConkey in double coverage because it bounced off his shoulder pads. What if he caught that? There was still a chance that you could have, right? Even with the interference. Not going to knock him for not making that catch. Not. That's not what I'm saying. But I think if that happens right there, taking advantage of it, oh man, that'd have been beautiful. Ladd McConkey. My man is the ice skater. I swear to God, he must be an Olympian ice skater. He makes guys miss all the time. Whew. Simple as that right there. But overall, I think you look at the receivers made it B plus, right? Called the catches they needed, move the ball effectively, do what you do. Tight ends, I gotta go A plus. Hell, you can give the tight ends A plus just based off of damn Brock Bowers. No, fuck that. We're going A plus plus because you took A plus performance from Brock Bowers and you one upped it. You one upped it with a touchdown from Oscar Delp. So from top to bottom touchdowns. Now you didn't get Darnell a touchdown, and that's okay. My man just decimates people in the blocking aspect of things. Did get a nice little reception too, so keep that in mind. But listen, we talked about it. Carson Beck with that touchdown pass, man, just flung it right in there. Boop. Oscar Delp for the touchdown. First reception, if I'm not mistaken, in a real game, and it goes for a touchdown. Fittingly enough, at South Carolina, folks. Don't you just love to see that? Mary probably had a little bit of confusion here, if you will. Mary was a USC grad and watched her son score against her alma mater. First touchdown. Extremely happy. I know she was crying. And rightfully so. But it's just fitting that happened, and it's awesome to hear that, ultimately. You love seeing stories like that. Even if Kirby may be a little bit petty, I ain't worried about that. Not worried about that. Listen, offensive line, you kept Stetson upright. You did your deal. I'm gonna give it a solid A on that. I'm gonna give it a solid A. Solid A. Now we move to the defense. We'll go D-line here, folks. D-line. I want to give a shout out to Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, by the way. Being from the state of South Carolina, my man showed out for what it's worth. My man had an excellent drive. I forgot what I think it was maybe in the second half. I think I might be mistaken. Third down stop, right? Before that gets a disruption and everything like that. Like, dude was in the backfield a lot, but as with most of our D line, right, making Spencer Rattler uncomfortable, right? No sacks is a key ding here, so give me an A minus on this. A lot of pressures, right? A lot of pressures leading to some turnovers, things like that. But we still need to get those sack numbers up. That's how you truly, evolve the defense. The D line, they're getting it, folks. Like I said, we've talked about it. You might not see them getting sacks right now, but those guys are getting smarter. They're understanding what works in regards to pass rush. But they're constantly battling the short game that you're going to expect to see every single week. So you can't hold that against them 100%. Got pressure all day on Spencer Rattler. Got to give it an A minus. Linebackers. Going probably go another A minus here. Played extremely fast. Sound football. Really sound football. Calls and disruption, typical Georgia linebackers through 3 games. Pop Johnson, Small Mondon making plays. A minus on that. Short, sweet, to the point. DBs, A plus. 3 turnovers. That's all you got to say. Malachi Starks, come on. Dan Jackson, right? Both of these guys are battling it out for a starting spot. And I don't think it matters because both of them are getting picks. So, yeah. And obviously, the linebacker plus. So I'll give that A for linebackers, A plus for DBs. Special teams. Accurate with kicking. Excellent punting when we did. Defense, special teams defense. There's some questions there, which I think is going to give me a B plus because they're concerning. Even if he got pushed into it, you've got to be aware of the ball. And I think it was, I forget who it was. Luckily, Ladd McConkey was able to hop on it quickly. But when it hits you as a defender, even if you're engaged, right, because that's what happened. He was engaged and got pushed into it. You still want to try to be as far away from it. So I'm not going to 100% count, that towards that. But we have to be mindful of that, right? Communication, if I'm not mistaken, Ladd was probably communicating, I'm sure. It was Lassiter. Michael B brings in that point. It was Lassiter that it hit the ball off of. Yep. Listen, he was engaged in a block, and the blocker, drove him into the ball, basically, right? So to his defense, it wasn't 100% on him, but at the same time, it's still a miscue in the special teams. And another miscue, obviously, allowing that fake punt, right? Which I think, honestly, I think Kirby took personally. Simple as that. Coaching. Give me an A plus. A plus on the coaching. Listen, Petty Kirby is the best Kirby. And we saw that. If you were not watching 100%, or you were not able to watch, I'm going to tell you in 4 words. I'm going to summarize what I'm talking about. First down, motherfucker. It's that simple. Kirby was in his bag yesterday. Todd Monken was in his bag yesterday. Kirby was feeling petty, and I'm here for that. I'm here for that. If you don't know why I said what I said, then you would understand that 4th down conversion. I think we were up 21-0 at this point, or 14-0 4th down, they try to go for it, right, which they did not convert. Kirby was extremely in his bag on that one. Super excited. Yelled what I said, basically. And TV is good for this. They always catch them. Michael B says, my only concern going forward is our lack of connecting on downfield throws. Well, I do get your point, Mike. However, at the same time, like I said, the 2 deep shots that we did try to take, they were penalties, right? Dylan Bell was one where, was running. He had the guy beat, but the guy literally tackled him, right? Can't necessarily be too mad about that, but yeah, I get your point. You want to be more accurate there. However, when I look at it as penalties, right? When they're penalties on downfield throws, I'm not going to contribute all of the concern there. I just can't, because if teams are going to do that, right? You take the penalties and you keep moving the ball. Obviously, it looks great for stats. It definitely looks good on stats, but I just don't know if it's something you should look at wholeheartedly, being a true concern. If they're wide open and you still miss, right, with no penalties and stuff like that, we'll talk soon about that. We'll definitely have a talk about that. But when you're getting held and pass interference is being called, what do? Right? You kind of, if they stop you from doing it, like I said, you just got to take the 15, go from there, right? It's annoying. It really is annoying because Dylan Bell got literally tackled almost horse collar from behind. But you take the 15 and you keep moving, and then you go down and score, make them pay. It's that simple, right? Obviously, you want to make them pay downfield, and it's awesome to watch. But ultimately, like I said, I can't be mad at receivers and quarterbacks if people are going to hold you and tackle you, right, and pass interfere that way. Just can't be mad about that. With that being said, though, folks, I think this recap is done. Listen, it was a great weekend for the Dawgs. Listen, my protein, I'm set for like a week, right? You dominate, you feast on those chickens up there. Then you have Chick-fil-A. Then you got Bojangles for lunch, right? A lot of chicken this weekend, folks. That's all I'm going to say. With that being said, listen, tune in Wednesday, folks. Tune in Wednesday. Going to be doing our week 4 picks and previewing this game against Kent State. With that being said, have a great day. If you're watching, make sure to like, subscribe, follow, whatever. If you're listening to this on podcast, wherever you get your podcast, by the way, make sure to like and subscribe and leave a review. Leave a review, especially Apple Podcasts. Leaving a review is completely free, but it does so much for the podcast and the content. You don't even realize it, how much you're helping, but you're helping out a ton. So just letting y'all know that. With that being said, have a great day. We will catch you next time.